Good evening, everyone. In Introduction to Ethics, my name is David Antonini. I'm the instructor for Introduction to Ethics, Section 5. The purpose of this video is to basically introduce myself to all of you and to just talk about a little bit about the class, how it's going to work in an online environment, at least for the first month of the class, and to just say a little bit about what ethics is and the kinds of things we're going to be talking about this semester. Um, Normally, I would do this on the first day of the kinds of things I'm going to talk about would be the kind of thing I would do on the first day of class. And so I think it's helpful to kind of have this as an introduction and as kind of a welcome to the class, so that you can actually see me and physically, see who I am and what I look like and what I sound like. That, in an online class, it can be kind of weird because you've got the instructor on the other end, grading you and sending you emails and making announcements, but maybe you never actually get to kind of meet them and see them. And so I think it's important to kind of open the semester this way. Um, Let me say just a little bit about who I am, and my background and how I came to Clemson. So um, I am originally from Pennsylvania. I grew up near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, I was there until I was 25, and then I went to graduate school in southern Illinois, near Carbondale, Illinois. I spent 7 years there getting my PhD in philosophy. And then in 2018, I came to Clemson. And so I'm beginning my third year at Clemson. I will turn 34 on Thursday, in fact. So my birthday always coincides with the beginning of the fall semester. So happy birthday to me, a brand new college semester, and in this case, an even more stressful one, obviously because of the pandemic. So that's just a little bit about me. Um, I also just want to I want to just kind of make another. I know I've said this, and I don't want it to be a refrain that you hear all the time, and I don't want it to just sound like it's hollow and empty words. But I sincerely do mean this. That for those of you who are freshmen in the class, and I did look at the class roster, and it's a fair amount, not all freshmen, but a fair number of freshmen. That again, I do realize that having to begin your college semester this way, in some ways, seems unfair to you. It's not how you envisioned it, um, and I just want to sort of make this special plea to you at the beginning of this course that um, I'm making my efforts, with making these lecture videos by providing you with as many resources as you need to try to make you feel as welcome as you can in the class, and that you can navigate this beginning of the first semester of college as smoothly as possible. And so I just want you to know I am a resource for you if you have questions, if you need anything, because I realize this is not how you envisioned beginning college. And so it's particularly hard on you all as freshmen, and I just want to echo that. It's not something I'm going to repeat, many times after this, but I do want you to know that I am here as a lifeline, or as somebody to just reach out to, not just about the class, but any concerns or questions you have in general as you navigate, beginning college online. So anyways, I know I've said that already, but I just wanted to kind of repeat that here. Now, let me say a little bit about the class. I've sent you the syllabus. So what I'm not going to do is go, in great detail about the syllabus. I'm not going to go line by line through the syllabus on this video. That I don't think you would enjoy that very much, and I don't think it would be very interesting for you. So I'm not going to go line by line through the syllabus. It is a longer syllabus. I've tried to provide enough information there, especially because it's an online course, that all of your questions should be able to be answered because of the syllabus. And on Friday's first Zoom meeting, we're going to talk more about any questions you have about the syllabus. So please read the syllabus for Friday. Beyond that, let me just say a little bit about ethics and what this course is and what we're going to be doing. Of course, ethics happens to be, a branch of philosophy, which is maybe not something that many of you knew. It is one of the sort of three main branches that philosophers study. There's also epistemology, and there's also metaphysics. But ethics is, if I had to guess, ethics is a word you use all the time. You use the words right and wrong and good and bad, and whether you realize it or not, you're making ethical statements when you make those kinds of claims. So when you say something's good, when you say something is bad, when you say something's right, when you say something's wrong, you're working within ethics. So there is the more colloquial sense of the term ethics, ethical, immoral, moral, that's used every day, and then there is the sort of formal study of ethics that philosophers do, and that's obviously what we're going to be doing in this class. So we're kind of getting beyond the colloquial sense of it when we say that something is right or wrong. What we're doing in this class is we're trying to investigate that. And so when you hear somebody say that is right or that is wrong or that's immoral or that's moral, we're trying to figure out, what do they mean when they say that? How do they know? What are they basing their judgment on, that something is right or wrong or good or bad? And so in this class, that's kind of what we're thinking about. And in particular, in this class, I am, and if you read the course description, and if you do the first reading for this week, I'm beginning the course. We're thinking about the course in terms of what's called normative ethics. Now, there are different ways, there are different fields of ethics, and one primary field of ethics is normative ethics. It is asking whether normative ethics, the primary question of normative ethics, is whether or not a standard exists by which we can evaluate human action and human choices. Does a standard exist? If so, what is that standard? What is the standard based on? And can the standard be used consistently to evaluate many different kinds of actions and many different kinds of choices? When it comes to an ethical standard, we want to be able to apply the standard consistently. Otherwise, it's not really much of a standard. If the standard doesn't have consistency, then it doesn't really it's not really a standard. And so we're looking at different normative theories. Each normative theory provides us with a different answer to the question of whether there is a standard. Well, each theory will say, yes, there is, but each normative theory provides us with a different standard of ethics, of evaluating human action and human choices. So we're looking at three different ones. Real quick, I'm not gonna go into detail here. When we get to the particular readings later in the semester, I'll have more to say. But we're looking at Aristotle and Plato, which typically is referred to as virtue theories. And virtue ethics focuses on the character of individuals, their traits. So whether or not human beings exhibit enduring traits that we think a good person would have. And so the virtue ethics approach to evaluating human action would say, does this individual have the character traits that we would look for in an ethical person? So, for example, courage. Does this person consistently exhibit courageous behavior? And what does it mean to act courageously? So that's virtue ethics. Kantian ethics, or deontological ethics, which is the second one we're going to look at, is focused more on rules for evaluating human action, having certain rules and guidelines by which we evaluate human action, rather than on particular character traits. We're going to kind of take a rule, such as don't tell a lie, and we're going to try to, so we have these rules, and we're going to apply those to particular actions and see whether or not these rules that we have can guide us in evaluating. And then the third one is utilitarianism. And that one focuses on the consequences of action. So not so much on the rules for action and choice, but upon the consequences that are produced as a result of our choices. If the action and if the choice results in good consequences, or not necessarily good consequences, but the least bad consequences potentially, then we would say that that is the right or good choice. So we've got three normative theories, three different standards, and that's how we're kind of easing into the course to begin with. And we stay with those theories up until a fairly significant portion of the course. We go from Plato and Aristotle to Kant to Mill. But there's another aspect of the course, and this has to do with the book that you had to buy, one of the books that you had to purchase, and it is Justice by Michael Sandel. And you really do need to have that book, whether you purchase this as an e-reader or not. But the readings for next week will be out of that book, in fact, and it's going to get you to start thinking about what it means to think ethically. And so the Sandel book is a really good text, and we'll return to it periodically throughout the semester. You'll find it probably to be the easiest book that you have to read for this semester, and something that you can turn to as a supplement to help you understand some of the more difficult readings. And so, but next week, the 3 readings for next week, excuse me, I'm used to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday format. But you need to read all of chapter 1 out of Michael Sandel for next week. Most likely, you'll at some point, the following week, you'll have a quiz on the Michael Sandel readings, and then also you'll have a discussion post next week based on those readings. So you need to make sure you have access to that reading by some point next week. And then you have the introductory reading that I've posted to Canvas that you need to read for this week. And all that introductory reading is it focuses on the 3 normative theories that I just described, which is titled Intro to Ethics Reading. So that's sort of that's kind of a small, big picture for the course, at least for the first part of the course. We're going to be turning to some other stuff later in the semester that's focusing on the relation of ethics to politics, and how it is that the ethical theories that we think about, how those concepts that show up in the ethical theories show up later in larger discussions about public policy. In particular, utilitarianism, we can say, is used as an ethical theory to think about the relationships between individual human behavior that we engage in every day. But utilitarianism is also used as a guide to making public policy. You've heard of things like cost-benefit analyses, and often that is utilitarianism. And cost-benefit analyses are used by companies, they're used by governments to implement and make large-scale decisions. Indeed, you could think of the decision that Clemson had to make about whether or not to bring students back to campus, or whether to keep students at home and just do online, as a kind of cost-benefit analysis, as a kind of exercise in utilitarian reasoning. And so a later part of the course, and this comes closer to November, looks at the relationship between the ethical theories and how those ethical theories also inform the kinds of policies that governments make when they are, making laws and making policies and implementing those policies. So there is a, close connection between. So that is the larger purpose of the Michael Sandel book that we're going to be turning to, especially later in the semester. That is sort of all I have to say at the moment about the sort of bigger picture for the course. But I do want to emphasize that even though we're going to be focusing on normative ethical theories, there will be a strong emphasis upon the application of those theories to particular examples. And you'll see that already in the discussion post that I've created for this week. I'm asking you to think about 3 different ethical dilemmas, and how you might go about thinking about how you, without having the theories already, without having the knowledge of those theories, I'm asking you to think about how you would respond to those different dilemmas that I put in front of you. And a dilemma is usually just, there are 2 different options in a dilemma, and you kind of have to figure out, you can only choose one, and one is probably going to be better than the other. But it's really tough to choose. So you kind of you're going to be forced to kind of defend your decision about which of the 2 choices is better. And so take a look at those in the discussion post. And so I just want to emphasize that we are focusing on the theories, but we're also going to be focusing on their application. So there's normative ethics, and then there's also applied ethics, and we're going to be doing a mixture of both in the class. But in order to understand the examples, you need to be able to apply the theories to the examples. And so that's going to be something. There's going to be an emphasis on that throughout, an emphasis upon the practical application of the theories, especially because we find ourselves living through a situation as human beings currently with the pandemic that presents all kinds of ethical dilemmas. And so, it would be, irresponsible of me as an instructor teaching ethics in the fall of 2020 if I didn't put in front of you some of the major ethical dilemmas that are facing not only human beings, but also governments and businesses and even universities, right? And so there will be an emphasis throughout the course at thinking about how ethics can help us solve some of these dilemmas when it comes to the pandemic. And so that will be an emphasis throughout the course. I will be asking you to think about applying the ethical theories to different scenarios that have arisen as a result of the pandemic. In particular, in the paper you have to write, you'll have to do that for the class, and then for the discussion posts, I will often be asking you to think about the course readings in relation to the pandemic. So that's really all I kind of have to say about what the course is, how it's going to function. I will be providing these lecture videos regularly. So you'll be getting regular, not necessarily live contact from me, but you will be regularly seeing me and seeing my face, hearing how loud I can be. If you had me in person, you would realize how loud I am. I am this loud in person too, I promise. I don't really know how to modulate, and so you would be getting this same experience if you were in person. And let me just say one other thing. We are having a Zoom meeting on Friday, and I just want to say a quick note about these Zoom meetings. When I sent out the survey, I was trying to figure out the best way to do this online class. For those of you that were here at Clemson in the spring, and even for those of you in high school where you had to kind of quickly transition to online learning, in that scenario, when you had to sort of make the quick, abrupt transition, when I did that for my students in the spring, I left my courses online, but I didn't do any kind of live in-person interaction because I didn't necessarily think under the circumstances it was fair to do those kinds of things because you were just so quickly uprooted from your lives. Now you're coming into the semester, you have the expectation, and you know that this course is going to be an online course. So I do think it's reasonable and appropriate to require or strongly recommend one in-person meeting per week. I don't think the most popular choice was not the 3 in-person meetings, but we are going to have the 1 in-person every week on Friday. And again, I'm not requiring attendance. I'm not going to have all of you raise your hands and say here, because when it comes to, there can be any number of things that could cause you not to be able to get online or something, but I am strongly recommending them, and you should make every effort to get online on Friday afternoons to attend this class. The Zoom meetings will not always, sometimes they'll function differently. I don't intend to use the Zoom meetings as a chance to just lecture for 50 minutes, but I do intend to give you a chance to ask questions and things of that sort. Maybe put you into breakout rooms on Zoom so that you can do some group work. But I am going to be doing a kind of play it by ear approach when it comes to the Zoom meetings because I haven't done them before. I do think that it's hard to mimic a regular in-person class session when you've got 30 different, little rectangles on a screen and we're all kind of trying to interact. It's not easy to do, and so I'm open to suggestions from you all as to how we can make the best use of those Zoom meetings. But I do think it's really important that we have that once a week in-person live contact. And of course, I will have office hours as well. But that once a week in person will be really important, I think, for your success in this course. That's all I have to say at the moment. Take a look at the reading for this week, the Intro to Ethics reading. We're going to talk about that in addition to the syllabus on Friday. I hope all of you are doing okay as the fall semester begins tomorrow. And welcome to the class, and please email me if you have any questions.